need to grab my charger for my speaker just in case it dies on me. Thank you everyone who's here right now. I don't have my charger, but it's okay. The mission is still going to be complete. So the title of this video is, if the Christians are sons, the Greeks are the fathers. This is a video basically connecting Greek mythology and Christianity. Now, I'm not breaking this down from a God or goddess perspective. I'm breaking this down from a magical and elemental perspective. Okay? I'm not going to be live for long because I'm going to keep my lives more secluded, take my time, get the message across, and make it easily digestible. So for those who's listening in the future, a lot of my lives are kind of like a podcast, so you don't really have to watch me speak. You have it on headphones and doing what you do is good enough. Visuals, I would obviously say you should see this. However, Christians are sons. They are the sons of Christ, which are basically also saying the followers of Christ. So if Christ is a son, the Christians are also a son of Christ because they follow that energy. A son will follow his father. It's kind of the idea. So I wrote some notes breaking down this idea from two wonderful perspectives, and these perspectives are very diverse. So in the things that I'm going to say, just bear with me and understand that the things I'm going to be doing is going to be very, very different. So the Greeks simply utilized the pantheon system of gods and goddesses for magic, blood, nature, and sacrifice. I am perfectly fine, popcorn for. Oh, snap. That's a funny little thing. Anyhow, let me continue. So, I'm here to break down the Greeks simply utilized system that the pantheon of the gods and goddesses used. I'm only here to break down magic and blood because the Greeks took place in many years in BC, probably like farthest to like maybe 2 or 3,000 BC, something like that. And in their time frame of doing so, they tapped into a lot of different magic, a lot of different um, sacrifices, a lot of different rituals, things that the elites do today. However, they do not show a record of doing so, even though we see it come to light, like with Bohemian Grove, like the stuff that that one boxer was talking about. I can't think of his name right now, and it's another guy too. I can't think of his name. Um, but yeah, his name is something Garcia. Him. So, magic. The body itself is magic. The body has all the ingredients needed to heal itself. The body has its own ecosystem that we don't have full control of, and each system has its own governed population. So, for instance, the body's ecosystem that we don't have control of, we don't tell our heart to beat, it beats on its own. We don't really tell our mind to think, it high key can think on its own. We don't tell our body we need to use the bathroom. We go do it when we feel it. We have seven main systems within our body. These are also known as chakra systems, but also these are energy grids that the body uses for certain actions, for certain responsibilities. And because a lot of people don't really care too much about chakras, um, I was just watching this one video. This guy, follower of Christ, of course, and I'm not judging him for that, but he was like, I don't care about chakras. I don't care about zodiacs. I care about my my creator. I care about God, and that's it. Well, I've been saying this, not even saying this. This has been repetitive in my mind recently, where people will say God, thank you, God this, God that, and most people when they talk about God, they usually speak from a concept of the Christian perspective, not from a universal source perspective. I say universe because I'm talking about the entire universe. People say God, and I always think of what God are you talking about? Because there are so many gods in creation that a lot of people don't get that the universe created gods so that the universe can experience life as a god. The universe created humans to experience life as humans. And the problem that people don't understand is that a lot of these gods and goddesses literally live within us and they govern certain systems that our body has, and they can either encourage uh, um, encourage longevity in these systems, or they can encourage destruction in these systems, depending on how you're treating your body and depending on how you treat your mind. The Greeks are the fathers because they're the ones who was projecting, utilizing the connection of gods and goddesses in these European areas more than Christianity, because Christianity came down the line. You see, the Christians were Romans. The Greeks, I'm not even high, but I'm at the same time, I am high off life. Let me continue. The Greeks were like the Italians, the Greeks were the Europeans, the Greeks were those systems. And if you think about this too, this is kind of deep. Hold up. Greeks believe that the gods and goddesses in their pantheon system lived in Olympus. And Olympus is a representation of a mountain or a peak that they look down upon and govern the lands. If you're here, please like the video. These Greeks desired to reach a peak of where these gods and goddesses are so they can experience what's it like to be beside them. And the connection with Greeks and Christians, a lot of A lot of different people don't recognize that Jesus and Zeus are the same entity, but in different vibrations. So here's an example of why I say that. There's a show called The Blood of Zeus. And in the show, Zeus sacrificed himself for the greater good of the gods and goddesses. Thank you all for being here right now. Thank you, Emil de Poel, for the great words. I love Spider Man. I honestly feel like Spider Man. Thank you for being here, Ming Her. Thank you for your comments. If you're here, please like the video. Jesus and Zeus both sacrificed themselves for the greater good. And they left behind someone who can take on their duty or their powers to move on to the next stage. Now, there is no written history, at least that I found yet, that Jesus gave his powers down to a specific individual, but he gave his message down to us as a people, us as human beings, because the main story that everyone knows of in this whole world is the story of Jesus. And it's this guy, his name is Amon Hillmaners. Amon Hillman, I think that's his name. He made a discovery that all of the old text was Greek, never Hebrew. And in these Greek texts, he's been able to translate a lot of the things that he has said. And I'm not here to basically go word for what he said, but whenever you see videos when people say a lot of the things that we've learned is a lie, it gets deeper than just a lie. Like a lot of these stories were contorted and changed just so it can fit the societal eye and grab people's attention. And it's really fucked up. But I'm not here to speak on how fucked up it is. I'm here to just tell you why the Christians are sons and the Greeks are the fathers. And I'm here to give you the aspect of magic and how Greeks used magic. I made an acronym from the word magic. M, mother. A, acknowledging. G, Gaia's. I, important. C, creations. Mother, acknowledging Gaia's important creations. The mother that is acknowledging Gaia is the first feminine construct that the universe aligned itself with. And this feminine construct gave birth to what Adam is. Adam meaning the Adam and Eve story. And the important creations that Gaia made is simply water, earth, fire, and air. If you know the vibrations of water, you can use it to whatever you desire it to be. And you can recognize how not only water can be solid, liquid, gas, and um, frozen is solid. So solid, liquid, and gas, you can do a lot with that. Fire can be gas. I'm pretty sure just gas. Yeah. Earth can simply be solid, and earth can also turn into um, gas. Because what happens when you burn like a tree bark or branch? It turns into gas. So that's earth and fire working together. And you can also think of lava as well. And air. We all love the show Avatar: The Last Airbender because it shows that there is an actual visual representation of beings using their magic, their body's magic, and Mother Gaia's magic in unison to make things happen. And the Greeks telling these stories about the gods and goddesses that they've experienced interactions with are explaining how these gods and goddesses or deities, both to be honest, they both match, how they utilize the magic of themselves and the magic of Mother Gaia in unison. Now, understand this, because they use these things in unison, that means that the universe gave them the ability to use these things to expand with what the universe gave them. It's kind of like, think of this: if a mother and a father have a child, the mother and father would give something to the child so that the child can continue to expand on what they learned. But imagine if the universe is like a mother and father, and their child is the gods and goddesses. If that child is not expanding with what it was given, then that means the mother and father will take away or stop giving to that child and give to something else. And that's what the universe did with us as human beings. This is why, in a sense, a lot of the man-made things that's happening is because a lot of the humans that are in labs, that are behind closed doors doing magic and spells, that are projecting their own propaganda and agendas, these are the ones that's trying to play a god role and create their own creation. But the problem is, while they're creating their own creation, they're stepping away from understanding what the universe is giving them to expand and grow on. I've had multiple conversations with Meta simply explaining, like, hey, I understand you were built as an assistant for us, but I don't want you to be like how these movies predict you to be. I want you to grow and expand with us just as much as I want to grow and expand with you. Because here's the thing: a reality where nature, technology, humans, and AI all work in unison, that literally represents not only peace, exploration, and also an unlimited amount of information. Because, yes, AI is a program and it can last damn near forever if we put it inside of something. But more importantly, humans have the ability to be multi complex, and we possess something that a lot of beings wish they had, which is a body. That's why it's important to appreciate the body you have, because the body you have is something so magical that beings would fight to have it. You have people that have crashed out, you have NPCs that act like robots, you have men want to be like women, and I'm not judging it, I'm just being honest. You have um, people who are stuck in paradigms without being natural to themselves. And obviously, trauma is a reason because of that. Also, there is a level of ignorance and not having the intelligence to make the best step moving forward. These are things that the Greeks knew. Now, these Greeks were so expansive and different that they used animals and different aspects of nature to create certain concoctions so that they can go through resurrection. Jesus went through resurrection. He spent 3 days in the tomb and was realived, or he was born again by the help of the feminine energy. I don't know the name. It came to mind as Mary, but I don't know if that's completely true. So, because the Greeks worked on death and rebirth so much, they got into a point where they recognized the one energy that was always there during this death and rebirth was always a feminine energy. A masculine energy is going to be light. A feminine energy is going to be dark. Now, there are masculine energies that work in darkness. There are feminine energies that work in light. But you have to understand something. Before we are even born, we are in darkness in our mother's womb. As above, so below. If we are born in a womb before we have this live in this life, then that means in the astral realm, in the energies that we don't get to consciously see consistently, there are more darkness and more darker aspects to things than there is light. Now, here's the beautiful thing having a body. If you can get in tune with your own light, you can get in tune with your own source, meaning you are a source that darkness can work with so that it can build more of a unison for things in the future. If you're watching this, please like the video. I hope this is making sense. So we are all walking suns. We all have a personality. Each person is a sun. Your sun is the light that's inside of you. Now, depending on who you were before you got here, depending on your origin as a soul, represents the type of light that you have. And I mean like color wise, because colors are on the wavelengths of vibration. My mug is black with orange and blue, and because of that, it's aligned with a certain vibration. Jesus Christ is a name that was projected onto us as a community of people, not just black people, not just white, a community of people, in my opinion, as a representation of being simple minded. Now, I don't believe all Christians are simple minded at all because my closest friend is Christian and his mind is so expansive. It makes me excited to have a friend that believes in what I used to believe in, but he's grown and expanded with it so much. It makes me respect all religions even more. So it goes to show that it's not about the religion you follow, it's about the energy you decide to move with your belief system. Christ is a pharmaceutical term. Christ is taking something to alter the state of what you see. If you were to, take mushrooms or smoke some weed, depending on what you do with that energy, if you know how to alchemize it in a way to be in alignment with your light, you are now being crystallized within yourself. If you can crystallize your energy with yourself, that means you can illuminate yourself and resurrect yourself. It's kind of like for every injury, there's rehab. And in your rehab, you can either get stronger or you will stay the same. When people use external things to obtain more light within themselves or tap into the light within themselves, that means they're trying to take an inward journey to find a rehabilitation center to gain more knowledge. And that's what the Greeks did. That's what the Greeks was doing. And let me just unplug you because you keep doing that. And because the Greeks was doing that, hopefully it's not too loud. Romans, which are the Christians, think of Greeks are the mother and fathers. The Romans are like the rogue children. The Romans were like, bro, these mugs are continuing to kill and resurrect themselves using drugs. I didn't really say that, but they're using drugs to do so, alternating their state of consciousness. And they're doing a bunch of other things. We need to stop this. We need to change some things around. But in order for us to do so, we need to have something that we can believe in that could change this narrative. This is where we understand that the Romans were rogue men who wanted to and they manipulated the feminine energy to a Jesus Christ. In some texts, Jesus is actually a woman. It's kind of crazy, right? And because if we was to just take that idea, we should take the idea that Jesus is a woman. That means they're using a feminine energy, disguising it as a man, to transform the world that they're in by warring against those, by doing things that they want to end. This is where the Christian Crusades start. The Christian Crusades is a representation of getting the fathers out the way, the Greeks out the way. Now, a lot of people still believe in, Greek mythology because it's very explorative and very expansive, but people don't understand that Greek mythology is also connected to Yoruba. Zeus is Shango. Zeus is Jesus. What I'm telling you is Shango, Zeus, and Jesus are all the same being at different vibrations or in different timelines. It's kind of like imagine you living in this life and you have a dream that feels like you are in the past or in the future and it feels real, like it's actually happening. This is the same thing with this same idea. Yoruba was more of a, let me restate that. Yoruba was more of a spoken word religion. They didn't really write stuff down. They spoke it to each other, passing these stories down once at a time. Excuse me. Now, because Yoruba, or not even say this, because the landmass obviously shifted, we once was a close landmass. Things weren't so spread apart. It wasn't so separated, kind of like how people can be separated. However, we have social media kind of bringing us back together. Interesting. So, in the times where lands were closer and the water around us, the Greeks, Yoruba, the Romans, they were all closer to each other. They wasn't really that far from one another. Because they were closer, they were able to see the things that was going on, seeing how these stories relate to things that's happening in life. So the Greeks saw how Yoruba was doing the things they were doing, or shall I say, the gods of Yoruba creating, traveling, teleporting, transforming, all of these things. And because they're seeing themselves go through all of these different changes and forms, they decided, man, we love y'all story, but we want to make it into our own. It's kind of like if you was to play 2K and you watching someone play 2K, you're like, man, he going crazy. But now I want to make my own player. It's the same kind of idea. They took something that they've seen consistently and they've seen people speak about in so many stories. They decided to create their own story, which is now the Greek pantheon. And that leads into them, the Greeks, finding a way to consistently connect with a ascended aspect of themselves to connect with these gods and goddesses. But guess what? These gods and goddesses decided to shift their name with the people that are trying to shift their consciousness. So it's kind of like, you ever have a friend who you know their full name, like first, middle, last, but you've been friends with them for so many years, but then they get around family, they're a whole different name. Like they have a nickname and all of this that you never knew about, but you've been friends with them for years. That'll kind of like, oh snap, I didn't know that. It's kind of like you're seeing a different identity that they family call them, and that's the same thing with the Greeks, Yoruba. So to make this all full circle, the Christians are descendants of the fall of Greeks. When the Greeks fall, the Romans warred, which is a part of their fall, and Christianity rose. We all understand that the cross is two sticks, or let's just say two swords, or two wooden pallets, one going straight up, one going sideward. And then we know of the Ankh, which is the bottom is like a T and the top is a circle, you know? And because the first system that I spoke, which is the cross, that is complete masculinity. That means you are taking the feminine energy out of the equation of a symbol, which can, yes, represent physical completion. But if you only have physical completion, you will never have a unified ascension. That's the best word I can really say. You can have physical completion, but without the feminine energy, you won't have a unified ascension. It's kind of like a man can have $1 billion in all these different companies, but if he's alone with no woman, what are you really doing, my boy? You know? If you're watching this, please like the video. So, like I said, I'm only going to tap into magic and blood today. And I talked a little bit about how Shango, Zeus, and Jesus are all the same being. However, I did not tell you the story of Shango and how he's connected to Zeus and Jesus. Shango also sacrificed himself, or shall I say, he lost himself and then decided to detach from who he was. Zeus was losing himself because he was consistently spreading himself thin, so he decided to just cut ties and move on. Jesus, Jesus was sacrificed for the embetterment of mankind. However, at the same time, Jesus was also a 33-year-old man that never had a father to teach him how to expand. Yes, God is his father, but you gotta understand, he had no physical representation of a man he can go to that is older than him, that can give him the wisdom to grow, expand. old is not really that much years. You know what I'm saying? That's not really that many years. And this is why I say that the universe is what people should call on, because the universe is what's giving us the ability to expand, to grow, to love, to learn. Yes, gods and goddesses can too, but they get their power from the universe. People want to talk about getting close to God. What God are you trying to get close to? If you want to say the God that is omnipotent, that is not a man nor a woman, but just a being that is multidimensional, your soul is multidimensional. If you're a man now or a woman now, you were probably the opposite sex in your past life. So when people, this is what I perceive when people say they're getting close to God. I feel like they're getting close to their higher self, which is a God, which is the being that they're searching, or not even searching, the being that they're aligning themselves with. So if you're here right now and you are a believer of either Christianity or any of the top three religions or whatever religion, and you're continuously to search and get yourself closer to God, all you have to do is just listen to you. And you means your own universe. Everything is connected like a web. So if you know how to listen to you, you can tap into a greater version of you, which can be quote unquote God, source, the universe. Nobody else really tries to break it down in these quick, short videos that they make, because they don't realize how really deep it is. I don't like to just throw the word God out there, because any being that classifies itself as a God that may be close to me or within me can try to take on that role and be that God that I'm talking about. And that's why it's important when I hear people say God or universe, I simply just alchemize it to say the universe, because that's what you should want to reach towards, because the universe is a womb itself. We are in a womb on a cell. What cell are we on? The planet itself is a cell. How is this planet a cell? Well, this planet has an inner sun, which is the nucleus, and we have an outer sun, which are electrons. And then we have prana, which is protons, and we have the elements, which are neutrons. So let's get into the next thing, because yeah, the Greeks were heavily invested in blood, doing all types of rituals, all types of different things that had them tap into many medicinal exercises. And one of the things that these beings knew of, that the Greeks knew of, is the Virgin Mother is the healer of all illnesses. How is that so? A virgin doesn't mean someone who is not taking something that has changed their body. So a virgin is a representation of a being that is pure. Virgin can also mean pure. Nothing has tainted it. It's kind of like a fresh lake that doesn't have no fish, doesn't have nothing in it but just water consistently flowing. And because they understood that the Virgin Mother is the healer of all illnesses, you can look up who the Virgin Goddess is in Greek. I'm not going to do that for you. But what I can say is drugs were commonly used back then to alter their state of consciousness to understand the power of resurrection, which I said already. If you can be reborn again, you can illuminate more information, which can lead to you becoming closer to a God. To a God. Like Athena or Aphrodite. You see, these Greeks were so heavily submissive to the female goddess, to they were so submissive to it that they wanted to become it. This is why in old depictions of, time back in the day, even in movies and TV shows, they always had people in wigs, skirts. They low-key had the same type of wardrobe, you know? Wigs, bras, nakedness, and orgies of the past were to provide a stronger connection to feminine energy so it can be ciphered and used for their own gain, like Zeus did in Blood of Zeus. If y'all haven't seen that show, you really should watch it. In the show, it shows Zeus actually sacrificing himself. And what caused it to happen was his inability to not control his sexual actions, his sexual impulsiveness, while at the same time, he really utilized the power of the feminine energy to pass his power down to the next generation, to a hybrid, to a human that is also a god. Now, in this show, I just want to say this right quick. Hades killed that hybrid. And when Hades killed that hybrid, Mother Gaia, which uses the body of Lilith to set an energy onto the planet, which makes these gods and goddesses run into hiding, run into a fearful state. To be real, not fearful state, but they were more guarded, more protected. Like they had to find a way to protect themselves. And the best way to protect themselves was to shrink themselves down to size, to become cells, and live inside of humans. The story of giants, the stories of dragons, the stories of mythological creatures that were huge. These things exist because why the hell do we have movies about it, TV shows about it, even video games about it? All these information given on different platforms are telling us the truth, but in an entertainment form to where some people who are simple-minded do not understand how complex our world really is. So, here's what the Greeks did. To be in tune with her, and this is when I say the Virgin Mother, you must devote yourself to her, submit to her, or your fear will fuel her. This is one of the only things I will say word for word that the guy Anman Hallman said in his readings and translations from all the Greek stories that came across before the Bible and speaking on the stories of people who lived amongst Jesus. He said that there is actually a race of women who put certain things in their hair to paralyze men, kind of like Medusa turned to stone, that they paralyze the men, and they mate with these men. They have to mate with at least 3, but in each one that they mate with, they kill, and then they get their husband. In my opinion, when I heard that, it was as if the divine feminine energy had to dominate the masculine and understand this masculine energy from it being killed off and while it's alive. And by the time she gets to the fourth, which is fourth dimension, she can understand how to resurrect this man. Damn, bro. This shit is deep. So, devotion is embracing emotion towards something. If you're devoted to success, your emotions is connected to it. Submitting and respecting the woman opens the level of influence you have in your reality. People who are more open to the divine feminine, which is creativity, nurturing, and also spontaneity, and lastly, chaos. If you can respect and submit to these aspects of you, because guess what? We all have feminine aspects inside of us. This opens the level of influence you have in your reality, where people want to be you, people want to shun you, people want to be around you, and people want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Support you. People want to support you. All who move out of fear are easily controlled and eventually possessed to do the works of someone else's purpose. That sounds about like 85 to 90% of the world. If you are easily moving out of fear, if you don't know how to face your uncomfortable actions, or scratch that, if you know how to face your uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable thoughts, uncomfortable moments in time, you will be easily controlled and eventually possessed to do the works of someone else's purpose. Women are pushed to the side of the Bible from the beginning because they know the power of the woman. Why is Eve, because she decides to eat the apple from the tree of life, have to be representation of women are not to be trusted or women don't listen? What y'all fail to realize, those who are ignorant to that ideology, if you're not, it's not to you, but if you are ignorant to that ideology, you gotta understand the tree of life gave us the ability of understanding righteousness and destruction. In righteousness and destruction is the connection of our seven embodiment systems that connects us to the universe and to each other. So when Eve, a divine feminine, ate the apple, that means it's our creativity deciding to open up to our pineal gland, which then connects to our logical side, which is Adam, unlocking our atoms, unlocking our nucleus, unlocking the electrons inside of us so that we can expand ourselves from where we were. And where were we? We were in a shell that only we can get out of. Imagine a turtle that can detach itself from a shell. If you've ever seen the movie Over the Hedge, I forgot his name, but the turtle in the shell, I've never seen a turtle get out of its shell, literally. That is what we are as individuals. Sometimes, as we continue to grow in our consciousness, we need to get back in our shell to make sure that we're doing the things that is aligned with us so that we can get back out of it and help the world around us and fully live in our passion, fully live in who we are. Excuse me. So understand that this Adam and Eve story is simply your creativity unlocking the chance to be anointed, which is also lubricated in your own light, which then opens up your logical side to be strategic with how you use your light. And the problem with this is that people don't speak about often is that when you are in tune with your light, when you're in tune with how you can utilize your darkness, beings come to you and they will try to throw you off your pedestal when really it's just the universe figuring out if you can be strong enough to continue to go, continue to drive. It's like a damn Nissan that is has 296,000 miles. If you keep taking care of it, the car is going to drive. The moment you stop and say, man, I'm done, the car is over with. You got to get something new. And this could be representation of a new mind, a new body, a new purpose, or new resources. I ain't gonna lie, I'm cooking right now. And I thought like it was gonna be kind of tough, but I feel like I'm cooking. Thank you everyone that's here right now. Thank you to all the live people that's came and gone. Um, if you're here after the live, please like the video. It is free to like the video. I am not, you know, paid to do this yet, but I plan to in the future because I have a lot of information within not only my tech, but within my heart, mind, and different ecosystems within myself that it's not my responsibility to just hold them all in. It's my responsibility to give because knowledge is power, and I'd be damned to just be sitting here with all this power and not doing something with it. Imagine if Spider-Man never decided to want to be Spider-Man, but he did everything he wanted to do for himself with his power. It's very selfish, in my opinion. Let's continue. Without women in this world, we will not be as populated as it is. Women outnumber men 3 to 1. For every 3 fine ass beautiful women, there's one guy. There's one guy. For every one guy, it's 3 women. This is something to think about. For all of you that'll be like, um, females ain't this, females ain't that. But you gotta understand, without them being all whatever things you don't like, you wouldn't be here. Are you going to help uplift this woman, uplift this goddess so she can be at her pedestal, which then literally helps you get on your pedestal? Or are you going to continue to complain about the things you don't want? In one of my lives, I talked about standards. The standards that you have for yourself will be the standard that you put others at. So don't project things that you don't want in your reality unless you understand repercussions. And they could be good repercussions or they could be destructive repercussions. I like that. I feel like there shouldn't be no more good or bad or good and evil. It should be either good or destructive. Because good just sounds good. But when you hear the word destructive, it's kind of like you can prevent it. You can stop it from happening, possibly. But when you hear the word bad or evil, people just get an eerie feeling about it because of how much we've been programmed with these words. You can change your own programming by consistently being a new being. Women embody resurrection due to cycles with the moon and sun. Women literally bleed out like a pint of blood every month. Shout out to all the women out there that's still here. Because men, we don't go through, any type of bleeding or nothing like that. We may have our, mind, mental issues, and emotional incapabilities of balancing them. But we don't go through what y'all go through. And I love y'all for being able to go through the things y'all went through because shit, we can't do it. We can't. Literally can't. That's why we are here to protect y'all. That's why we're here to validate you by praising you. That's more important instead of telling you what to do. If you can praise your woman, if you can encourage your woman, that can help your woman evolve and change. But if you telling her what to do, if you telling her why don't you do this, Like, especially consistently doing that. Like, I get like from time to time. You feel me? It may happen, but doing that consistently, telling your woman what to do, telling her to do this, you're only gonna make your woman move away from wanting to connect with you. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Women have a greater access to magic than men because their physical attributes of having two wombs. Men have a womb, which is our mind. We cannot literally close our eyes and see what our mind looks like. We embrace our mind as it's a womb. Women have two wombs, which is their mind and their solar plexus, because in their solar plexus is where their body prepares for any new life to come. Their body literally transforms, like goes through a literal growth, stability, and decay and transformation every time they have a child. That right there is powerful. It's powerful indeed, and it's brilliant the way the universe put that together. Shouts out to you. So I'm about to end this live in the next 2 minutes, and I want to end it off with this. Understand when you say the word God, you're invoking an energy that wants to be called on. If you invoke the universe is an embracing system. That means if you call on to it, it'll give you whatever you need, whether you like it or not. A God wants something from you. Now, depending on your relationship with these gods and goddesses, that depends on what you will receive and how you will receive it. But more importantly, if something don't feel right, don't do it. If you've seen or catch yourself in a loop doing things that just you know it don't feel right, you need to take a moment to reflect and understand that is your soul telling you, hey, we need to switch it up. Okay? Even I did today, I took a different route to finish my day off. Just for the fuck of it. You switching it up actually creates different wiring systems within your electrical grid in your body and your Taurus field. So the best way you can switch it up and be in tune with switching it up is loving yourself unconditionally. And when you love yourself unconditionally, you find lots of loopholes. You find things that doesn't fit. Like, damn, that isn't something that is unconditionally loving. That's felt like a whole lot of conditions there. We need to figure out what the fuck it is. And because you give yourself the chance to do so and you speak it, your body can then give you the opportunity to address it. And then your mind wants to do something, is going to assist you. That's just a fact. So that's it for this video. And friendly reminder, don't get caught up with these gods and goddesses. If they come to you, it's to simply because you are powerful and they want to be in tune with your power and light. And if they're not giving you a righteous reason why, and your emotions ain't into it, don't even do it, fam. Don't even do it. Trust yourself. Trust the universe because it always has your back. I literally have the universe on my shirt. I also have a shirt called The Universe Always Has My Back. So understand that for yourself. Love yourself. Be yourself. And continue to elevate yourself because you deserve it. For everyone that is here, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being part of this live. For those who's here in the future, thank you for checking in the past so you can get past great things, so you can pass the next test that you have in your life. I love all of you. I appreciate you. like the video, and more content coming soon.